gonna prove? Who will be bruised? What you need when you lie, it's a lesson that's got me reading now. What you want, who is seeing when you lie, it's the message that's got me reading now. What you want, what you need when you lie, it's a lesson that's got me reading now. What you want, who is seeing when you lie, it's the message that's got me reading now. Got me reading now. Got me reading. Got me reading now. Got me reading. Got me reading now. Got me reading. Got me reading now.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Lore Reloaded. I am your wondrous host, Lore Reloaded. Let me know how the volume is going and how the mic is doing. It's always weird whether it's doing well or not. So let me know in the comments. I will also check. It is always wonderful to see you guys here. Always a welcome thing, as they say. Again, James from the Lore Reloaded. Check me out at twitter.com/Lore Reloaded. Or twitch.tv/Lore Reloaded. And with that out of the way, let's say hi to a couple of people. We got Micah Leith up in the house, 14K Leom, Bird of Prey 5, Kapla. We have Barry Bin saying it was a closed time loop incident. No need to put them on temporal trial. It is. There is absolutely every reason to do that. Tim Ash up in the house. Common Sense America, of course, here. Hope you're doing well. Volume seems a little low. A little low. Let me raise it up, see if that's any better for you guys. And I can do this. Watch. Wow. Boom. That should have fixed it up. Let me know if it's still a little low. So let's talk about the Krenim. Let's talk about the stupid Starfleet Temporal agents and whatever you guys want to talk about. I haven't been here for a while, so I know you guys just want to have a conversation, and we can have any kind of conversation you have. What's going up, Vile Mike? Salen Stormwing in the house. A lot of people got upset because I didn't include the Krenim ship in the time ships. Originally, I didn't even think about them as a time ship and considered changing it up. But the more I think about it, the less I am convinced that the Krenim are actually that's a time ship, because what the ship is doing is it's changing things around it and then it has a type of barrier that prevents those changes from impacting it. So it's not traveling through time. It's literally just changing time. And I think there's a difference. It's kind of like calling the Klingon bird of prey a time ship. It's not, even though it can travel through time. Vile Mike, by Krenim, are you including the portrayal in Star Trek Online? I am not. I'm including the portrayal of what we know for fact is Alpha Canon. Not Star Trek Online. And I'm not sure what they've done in Star Trek Online. I don't think I've played that. I may have. I don't think so. Sail and Stormwind. That's what I would go with. That the Krenim ship wasn't a time ship. It was a time erasing weapon, or a weapon used to modify time. Because by that logic, because if you say that the Krenim time ship is, or if you say the Krenim ship is a time ship, then by that logic, the Intrepid class becomes a time ship with its modifications done to it. So is the Intrepid a time ship? It's obviously not. Mike Geheb, new to the channel. You rock. Well, thank you. You rock. I appreciate you being here. Vile Mike, in Star Trek Online, it clearly is a time ship. Sure. You can also have a pet that shoots lasers from the side, a dinosaur. You can have a pet dinosaur that follows you around and shoots lasers from the sides of its head. I wouldn't consider the laser shooting dinosaur to be Alpha Canon, so I don't immediately assume the Star Trek Online Krenim time ship theory to be instantly Alpha Canon either. So, and again, that's not necessarily a knock on Star Trek Online. I'm just saying they have made some choices that are clearly not Alpha Canon. And if either they're going to stick to 100% to Alpha Canon, or it's a case-by-case basis, in my opinion. Their own website talks about how they're Alpha Canon until they're not, meaning that it's soft canon, which, again, is neither here nor there. Laughable Larry, why can't I send a super chat anymore? You should be able to. It might be because of the phone. If you're on an iPhone, I think, maybe. You can. On mine, I can. It says show your support for Lore Reloaded. So I can apparently send myself a super chat, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, so, I mean, the Krenim themselves, I like it. I'm going to be doing a video on the Krenim. The question I think comes up, though, is were the Krenim evil? And how does that work? Laughable Larry, $3. For those who are new to the channel, this channel is how I make my bread, how I keep this place running, and that is generally through Super Chats, Patreon, and viewers like you. So thank you so much. Laughable Larry says, you rock, Ben? No, you rock, Laughable Larry. Thomas Potts, it's always nice to see you stream. Yeah, I want to stream every week, and I want to stream every day. I don't know that I can do that where I'm at right now. I do want to stream at least 3 times a week, and I'm moving towards that. I've just had a lot of setbacks, and so I apologize about that. Though a lot of the major stuff will be ending on Friday with a court appearance, which is lots of fun. That aside, so the Krenim, are they evil? Is the question that comes up to it. Are they evil, or just misguided and ultimately moved maybe into an evil stance? And a bonus question here. The Voyager, maybe they do know, maybe they don't, but I know that Voyager at some point, the crew knew that they dealt with temporal weapons. Do you think Voyager should attempt to stop a power that deals in temporal weapons, given how much of an impact it can? You know? I'm interested in that. 14K Leom. For some reason, the Krenim time ship made me think it would be something from Doctor Who. I could see that. That would be a Doctor Who thing that they might do. Mara Nanor. Technically, time travel is magic, right? It's just science fantasy inserted into science fiction. I wish more science fiction stayed away from time travel. Yeah, that's debatable. I do think time travel is probably more towards magic than most other things. But honestly, self-replicating minds that are cloaked is effectively magic too, in my mind. I don't think really the technology is there for it. It is as much, not as much, but I think that's moving towards magic to a degree as well. But I would honestly like to know, 53 people watching, don't forget, and only 9 thumbs up? What's up, guys? We need to at least have, 54 thumbs down if you guys hate it. Hit that thumb button. Hit that pesky thumb button. But what do you guys think about the Krenim? What's... Are they evil or are they not? I would think, originally, the Krenim were probably just trying to win the war, probably doing what's right. We kind of see that with Red. I forget who the name of the captain is. He played in that 70s show. And then just how they slowly slip into this somewhat magic type thing, And I think that they, again, started out with the best of intentions, trying to win a war. Best of intentions is relative. You never do what's best when you're trying to win a war, right? But I think that it slowly moved towards a more evil thing. I don't know. I'd love your guys' opinion. Voltage 483 is here. That's always a great thing. What is going on, Voltage? Salen Stormwing says, I don't think the Krenim are evil. I think they just created a doomsday level weapon and the folks on the ship used it, even if it wasn't always the right choice to do. I think Babylon 5 is just like Deep Space Nine. Vile Mike finally giving me a thumbs up. Thank you, thank you. Oh, on Babylon 5. Babylon 5. Yeah. I'm going to say something that's going to piss a lot of people off. I have watched all of Babylon 5 now, save for some of the movies. I've watched in the beginning. I haven't watched any of the other movies. I've watched all of Babylon 5. Can I say, for all of this fighting between Deep Space Nine and Babylon 5 for stealing of copyright rights and everything like that, Babylon 5 gives homage to a lot of things that you see in other science fiction movies. So, to give you an example, well, not to give you an example, I saw Star Wars references to homages to Star Wars, homages to Spaceship Troopers? Starship Troopers. To Starship Troopers. I saw a Doctor Who reference, and I saw a couple of Star Trek references. It's not the wholesale stealing of things, don't get me wrong, but for all of the DS9 Babylon 5 issues, Babylon 5 really took some things from some other science fiction. I just find that ironic, if you will. Anyway, sorry. Krenim. So, I guess my question is if you have this doomsday weapon and you use it, right? Where... And it really messes it up. Do you continue to use it to try to fix things? Where do you go with that? I mean, I think that the weapon is almost like a nuke for Earth. It's something that you just can't use. But if we remember, and this is one of the things I think Voyager did well. I wish they had made this a season, because the Year of Hell, the Krenim, was really done well, and a season of this would have been awesome. One of the many things Berman messed up. What do you do if you're losing? And then you do it and you see how much it messes it up. How do you move forward to fix that? It's not... I don't think it's black and white. I think that you shouldn't use it. I think it's like a nuke. You hurt everything when you use it. But once you've used it, where do you go from there? Laughable Larry says, $5. Again, thank you so much for supporting the channel. They're evil. Don't kill other civilizations to benefit your own. I can't think much of evil things. I can't think of much eviler things than that. They destroy dozens of worlds. Laughable Larry would absolutely hate Janeway then. That's what that means. Laughable Larry would, without reservation, hate Janeway. All that to say, Jamie is awesome though. Starfleet, unless it's Iconians, you cannot use it. Okay. Yeah, 24 likes and 73 people watching. What's up with that? What's up, Main House? Again, I don't... It is evil to use it. because you are wiping people away from the timeline. Though many Voyager apologists, many Janeway apologists will say, well, those people never existed anyway, and it's not technically killing them. Basically, they're heroes, is what they are. They're heroes because they're removing people and they're not killing them if you're a Janeway apologist. But that away. Their civilization was dying. They were losing this war. This was the last thing they could do to win it. Is it evil to use it? I don't know that I wouldn't. So, if let's take Babylon 5. Let's take Babylon 5 for a second. The humans, the Earth Minbari War. For those who haven't seen, the Minbari are just destroying the humans, and the humans and literal genocide is happening to humanity. The humans discover this technology that that can wipe the Minbari from existence. Now and obviously this is a horrible weapon, but you have a choice. Humanity can just be wiped out, your civilization gone, or you can save the civilization and destroy the Minbari. Where exactly do you go with that? How does that work? You know? And yeah, we got 76 people watching, only 37 thumbs up. What is going on with that? Common Sense America, got to pump those numbers up, people. Yeah, those are amateur numbers. Agreed. Skazy79 says that they'd use it. Janeway did the same thing in the end, Plasma Core. Dang right she did the same thing in the end. She did that in spades. She wiped people from the... she wiped children from the timeline. We got to see those children, unlike the Krenim, where we didn't see any of them. And people will sit there and say, Janeway, you didn't really kill them, or what the hell ever. I mean, it's silly. It is silly, people. Michael Eggert says, weapons of mass destruction are a last use for reason, not because they are worth it, but because it's a last resort. I agree, but do you use them as a last resort, right? There's a reason that you have mutually assured destruction. What's going on, Jordan Ashcroft? Because, I mean, if we nuke each other, everybody dies. But, I don't know. Super Game Freak 18, to be precise, will say, desperation will make a lot of people drop their morality to survive, even if they regret every step of it. And honestly, the Krenim was a great villain. You could understand his pain. Yeah, I'll say this about it. The captain losing his wife and then going on this tirade to save one person is unfortunate, let me say. I think that it's somewhat believable. I'll grant that someone would be so upset that they would do this. But I think that the XO should have stepped in. That, they had restored, 97% of the Krenim Empire? And so, at that point, when he was like, well, let's destroy it, he should have said, no, we're not, I'm taking over command, this should not happen. Voltage 483 in the house says it's not mutually assured destruction if the other race doesn't exist. Aha, but it is because, remember, they had that pathogen that helped the other people, so they did. He just didn't know about it. Memphis Sports Fan, does Dr. Franklin know about the weapon? If so, the weapon would be destroyed before Earth could use it. It is funny. Dr. Franklin from Babylon 5 is an absolute traitor to his species, should have been put in front of a firing line and shot. We should have never seen him in Babylon 5 proper. He is probably one of the worst human beings on planet Earth. There is, I will tell you, I will take SF Debris' Evil Janeway every day over Dr. Franklin. Absolutely, without any hesitation. Dr. Franklin should have had a Centauri death. Absolutely. I just hit the magic reset button at the end of Year of Hell, says Rifleman 2. I agree. So the Year of Hell was supposed to be season long and was not supposed to have a reset button. Unfortunately, Berman was actually in control and so stopped all of that. And that was unfortunate, in my opinion. He definitely should have allowed that to happen to take that risk. and to let things happen. And again, I bring up SF Debris a lot, but I think that SF Debris had a good fix for that if we had to do it with the 1 to 2 episodes that they do and had to do the reset button. If you were going to do the reset button, find a way to have somebody not be impacted by the reset. So, for instance, on Voyager, have Harry Kim there, or have Janeway, and have the destruction and the reset happen, but they're behind some kind of shielded power, shielded area, and they remember what everything went through, and then play with that, in my opinion. And Michael Leith, The Year of Hell could have been the greatest season of Trek ever. I agree. I mean, it would be wondrous if I could say, I don't like Voyager overall, but The Year of Hell, that season, is the best Trek that's ever done. And I think they could have done it. 4D Mike says, I think that most of this conversation assumes a correct timeline, but what exactly is a correct timeline? Correct for who, and why is it more correct than any other? I think that's an interesting debate. The question is, I would say there is a correct timeline where you don't destroy people's lives unnecessarily or remove them. There's a reason why, and this is meta, and maybe this is me stretching. So let me know if this is stretching. Definitely tell me. But one of the reasons, well, we're an empathetic species, which is why we don't. But if you were to kill a person, you impact the future of everybody drastically. And besides being empathetic, and it's wrong to kill people, the impact upon people is devastating. And that's why that's one of the reasons that I think killing is wrong. So, I mean, removing somebody from a timeline is like effectively killing them. And that's why I have a problem with it. And so I think there is a correct timeline where you don't remove all those people, where those people existed, right? I don't know. Voltage 483, Evil Janeway, fan fiction. That is not fan fiction. That is Voyager. Voyager is one of two things. And a lot of people, and I say this all the time. A lot of people get upset because they think I don't like Janeway. They think I have a real problem with her. I actually love Janeway. I think she's one of the best villains that Trek has ever had. Honestly, on par with Lorca. If you ask me, I think Lorca is a wonderful villain until he gets political, until they force politics on him. So I really like her. She's either one of the most wondrous villains that's ever existed, or it is a really good telling of a tragic hero. And joking aside, I think that I honestly think that Janeway is a tragic hero. And I think you see it very well. I would almost say they wrote it that way on purpose. Honest to God. Common Sense America says, your thoughts on Star Trek multiverse theory? It's been proven. So Star Trek has proven that there's hypertime in multiple episodes. But the most well-known, and I forget the name of the episode, you guys are going to tell me. It's like Threads or something like that. It's a TNG episode where Worf is going back. He had been in a competition and he had won. And then you see he's going through the different various timelines. And you see like he's with Deanna at one point, he's not with Deanna at another. You see the Borg have taken over, and then there's like 600,000 different Enterprises that appear. I forget the name of the episode. I'm sure someone will say it. It's a TNG episode. By the way, someone was talking about bringing up Star Trek Online. You are welcome to bring up Star Trek Online, but every time you bring up Star Trek Online, I'm going to start my it's called Parallels. That's right, TNG episode Parallels. Thank you, Bird of Prey 5. So you can bring up Star Trek Online. Every time you bring up Star Trek Online, I'm going to start the response to whatever you say with, by the way, did you know in Star Trek Online, you can have a pet that will fire phasers from the sides of its face as a Federation officer. just to remind us of Star Trek Online. Now, I like Star Trek Online, but when people start quoting it to me as gospel, I remind them that you can have a dinosaur that fires lasers or phasers or whatever the hell it is from the sides of its face. But yeah, a multiverse exists, hypertime exists, so that is definitively there. A lot of people will call the Kelvin timeline part of the multiverse. I think Kelvin timeline was originally Prime timeline, but yeah, I do think that there is a multiverse. So, 4D Mike says, if you take away but also give an equal number of lives with the time manipulation, is it still evil? I would say so, because you're killing off or removing the other people, and I don't think you have a right to do that. Yeah, he's one of my editors. I have two editors. One is this cat, Pumpkin. Everybody calls him Spot because my name's Lore. Whoa! And then you also have Mickey, or Mickey Cat, as my 4-year-old calls him. Bird of Prey 5, given $2. Again, thank you so much. It's how I make my bread. Parallels is my favorite TNG episode. It's really strong. I would say it's in my top 5. I don't think it's my favorite, but it's in my top 5. By the way, 85 people watching and only 42 thumbs up. I mean, why are you guys scared? Hit that pesky thumbs up. Or thumbs down. I don't care. Hit that pesky thumbs button. Yeah. It's not that far-fetched that they have weaponized animals, says Agent XX302. All right, everybody. I want you to remember this. It's not that far off that Federation and Starfleet officers have dinosaurs that follow them around as they enter into combat all the time, and these dinosaurs fire phasers from the sides of their face. That is not too far a stretch for a Star Trek property. So it's called Time Trek now. Every new movie has to have time travel. Yep, that's true. 14K Leon, would the crew of the Krenim have survived, as I think the XO said they have been doing it for, 200 years? Wouldn't they have died if they shut down the weapon and left the ship? Yeah, I mean, because we see the ship destroyed and everything gets reset. So that is a good question. Does it put them in stasis, or would it reset it all together? And I think that's an interesting question. I do think they do portray somewhat of what would happen to the psyche after 200 years of all of this. I wonder... I think they would have been more insane than that. So, I don't know. I know where they were going with it, but I do think they would have probably been a little more insane after 200 years. Park Maxwell, I finally caught one of your streams again. Yeah, this is the first stream I've done in about a month. I'm sorry, guys. I've been dealing with stuff, as you guys know, plus talking to beautiful women. So, I mean, it's always, busy. In the episode, it showed how they are back before they started. It did. Oh, and that's a good point, too. Scasey70 says, when the jar with the lock of hair broke, it disappeared. Well, I mean, but she didn't ever exist before. So I don't know. It's an interesting question. We do know that everything was reset once the ship was destroyed. And they come out, their temporal shielding drops when they fight Voyager, and they don't disappear. So, I mean, based on that, if the temporal shielding drops and they're still there, I guess it just keeps them in like a stasis where they're still alive. Thomas Potts, do you think time travel is done too much in Trek? I don't think so. I don't think they do it a lot. Captain Moroni, beautiful women, a real time sink. Yeah, oh man, and money sink, let me say. But worth it. I don't know. They'd have to. So it's some kind of stasis. It has to be like that. Micah Lee, talking to beautiful women. Wait, women actually like nerds? Yeah, believe it or not, I didn't expect to. But one person, at least, is a pretty big fan of what I do, which surprises me. They change, I don't feel like they use time travel a ton. Maybe they do, but it's not overdone, at least from my perspective. I didn't lose power, no. which was surprising because usually my side of the city loses power and anti-tracker side does not. So that was nice. The point I'm making is what makes one group of people more deserving of existence than another, says 40 Mike. So 40 Mike's proposition that he's put up here is that if you remove 10 people from time, you destroy 10 people, and it creates 10 people, is that wrong? In my opinion, one person has as much value as another. So you have 10 group of people that has as much value as the other 10 group of people. When both have an equal value, the ones to exist first are the ones that would take precedence for me. In this specific episode, in this specific conversation. Because I know how you people work, and the next step, 40 Mike, watch, mark my words, it's like, oh, well, what are your thoughts on pro-choice versus pro-life? Yeah, because that's how you people work. Reminder, Janeway needs to be tried for war crimes. She does. She does need to be tried for war crimes, especially when she allied with the Borg. Absolutely. Cisco did war crimes as well. I agree. Both of them should be tried in a court of law for war crimes. Both of them are equally culpable. No, I stand corrected. I do think one is worse than the other, but they both should be in prison. So, at one point, you're just arbitrarily choosing which people get to survive. I mean, that's your opinion. It's whatever you want to do, 40 Mike. I don't think it's arbitrary, but hey, that's your opinion, buddy. We can agree to disagree. Well, I guess the answer to this conundrum is who won the war. They tend to say who was right. That is true. I want Tuvix back. Yeah, that's a great conversation. So, moving on from the Krenim and looking at Starfleet specifically and the temporal agents. The fact that... So here's my problem with Starfleet having temporal agents. I actually liked when in Enterprise it kind of Daniels infers that Starfleet and the Federation are gone. And in Enterprise, there are multiple instances of that. And then in Enterprise, they show that Starfleet does exist. It's inconsistencies in Trek. I know, crazy, right? But if Starfleet exists in the 31st century, based on Voyager and Enterprise, they do, I think that opens up a lot of issues, a lot of conundrums. I think there's a lot of things that happen where time has changed that the agents would stop. And I think... I think that the problem, the issues, is that there's no good reason for them to not stop some of the things that stop. They just don't because they don't, and that doesn't make a lot of sense. 40 Mike, I wasn't going to bring up talking about pro-choice or pro-life at all. Yeah, maybe you wouldn't have, man. My audience is somewhat conniving, which is good. I mean, we have a back and forth. So I was more joking with you than anything else. And as you saw, someone did bring it up. So, I mean, it's just the way my people work. Y'all try to get me on tirades. Is that... Vile Mike, is that a cat on my chair, or am I just happy to see you? I'm just happy to see you, good buddy. I guess my biggest issue... so beautiful woman... Sorry, not women. Woman. To correct a earlier thing. One of oh man, I shouldn't read text messages. I don't know what the hell I was talking about. What was I talking about, guys? Sorry. Starfleet. Starfleet shouldn't have temporal agents. They simply shouldn't. I think that there's no good reason for a lot of the things that happens. Like what Janeway does at the end should absolutely be stopped. That changes so many things irrevocably. And here's the point. Now, a lot of people will say, well, the Starfleet temporal agents didn't stop it. And the reason why they didn't stop it was because it helped Starfleet in the future. You're telling, and they even talk about this in Enterprise, there are other temporal powers that exist. It's not just Starfleet. And you're telling me those other temporal agents, those other temporal powers did not come in and say, wow, let me let me sit back for a second and watch you destroy the Borg and then gain so much technology that a Negvar can't destroy a shuttle. And the other temporal powers were like, that's okay. Let's just let you have that. Let's just let you have that. I don't think that that's the way it should happen. I don't. I think that they would come back. I think that the other temporal powers would walk in and say, no, you don't get to have technology that can destroy or that can cause a shuttle not to get destroyed by a Negvar. No, you can't kill the Borg just for the fuck of it. Just so you can. And again, even if the other temporal powers sat back and said, okay, I don't think they would, but even if they did, let's assume they did. You have factions, the Temporal Cold War, that would be completely against that, because that had to help out the Starfleet to get to the temporal power. So if I'm a Temporal Cold War terrorist, the first thing I'm doing is, well, I wouldn't kill Janeway because she causes so much harm, and I'm a terrorist after all. But I would stop her from going back in time. Again, it's completely inconsistent. There's no reason. If there wasn't a temporal Starfleet and it was just a temporal agency in the 31st century, something we didn't know about, something we didn't understand how it worked, then it would make more sense to me. Because it would be foreign. But Starfleet is Starfleet, especially when you watch the Voyager time episodes. So yeah. I don't know. Lore Reloaded. Agent XX302 is definitively so about Star Trek Online. In Star Trek Online, let's just ignore the obvious parts that show how Star Trek Online may not necessarily be alpha canon. There's a temporal command with all temporal species. Maybe all of them agreed to not intervene with Janeway. It's possible, Agent, and I'm more giving you a hard time about Star Trek Online. I like Star Trek Online. I've promoted them. I've supported them. So I like them. But, I mean, that's possible, but then it goes back to the temporal time war and these terrorists, right? I don't know. I don't know. Truthfully, I think Star Trek Online did a decent job with the Time Organization and Starfleet both existing. I think that the Federation still exists, but the organization is a galactic organization. I mean, it's possible. I also think we have to remember that temporal agents aren't perfect, says 4D Mike. They mess up all the time. They probably miss things they shouldn't. I mean, they're time agents. If they mess up, they have nothing but time to fix their issues, right? I don't know. So I'll say this though. I think, and I bring up SF Debris a lot because he just has good ideas, especially when it comes to the finale. And a finale of Voyager. So something that would have explained it, that would have made it a lot better, and would have moved it into Enterprise, would be to have it so that everything with Janeway happened, but you have the temporal agents come in, and they allow it to happen. Well, no. Actually, the way he does it, and again, you should go to sfdebris.com, watch his review of the finale. But what he says is, the beginning of the finale, instead of seeing Voyager go across Earth and everything be fine, replace Voyager with a Borg cube. And then have the actual backstory be that the Borg invaded and won and defeated all of the Alpha Quadrant, and that there are only pockets that still existed. And so you have Admiral Janeway, who had developed all of these anti-Borg weapons. And so you had slivers that still existed in the Alpha Quadrant, and were doing all right because of all of this brand new technology. And but it was too late. They're not big enough to defeat it. So Janeway goes back in time, just like she does in the original version, and at this time gives all of this to stop the Borg. And you have, maybe it could either be in that specific episode, or better yet, have it in the opening of Enterprise, where the temporal agent talks about how they specifically didn't stop that. They didn't stop the Janeway stopping the Borg invasion, because all of the temporal powers agreed that an Alpha Quadrant controlled by Borg couldn't exist. Nothing would happen. But by doing that, things changed in time, which created this temporal Cold War and created the terrorists. It's a wonderful tie. It's a wonderful tie-in. It makes it interesting, and it is a little science fantasy versus science fiction, but it's a hell of a lot better than what they did with the temporal Cold War that we had today. So you know, yeah. Yeah, that's where I would have went with. I think that would have been excellent, in my opinion. I don't know. You guys can let me know your thoughts on it. Let's see. Transphasic torpedoes existed because Janeway helped develop them, but what if the technology already existed in some form, so you could argue she hastened the eventual development? I mean, it's possible. Colonel Graff, for cat treats, can we more donations for cat treats? Also, too many time travel episodes reset the universe and erase the consequence of an episode. Yeah, I mean, if you donate money and you say you want it specifically for a cat treat, then I will only do that one for a cat treat. So if that's where you want it to go, the $5 will go to a cat treat for my cats. But again, that assumes the timeline where everything goes perfectly for Starfleet, says 4D Mike. Like the Krenim found out, maybe that just doesn't exist in any timeline. Okay, you're probably talking to somebody else. So yeah, I mean, what are your guys' thoughts? Where do we go with it? This one was going to be a little bit of a short one because I got things to do. Hopefully I'll start doing this more and more. I want to do it every Sunday night for sure. And by the way, guys, for those who don't know, but you probably saw, I actually am now at over 39,000 subscribers. I wanted to thank you guys for that. I'm actually doing a special video. People keep requesting my thoughts on how to have a video, how to, become a YouTube famous. I don't know that I could really help you out that much with it, but I'm going to be releasing that fairly shortly. Daniel's bringing Kirk and Cisco into the same spot, which the universe collapse in the awesome. It would collapse. Maybe they just slap band-aids on time because it's too risky to go after a better fix. I mean, again, they really haven't fleshed out time travel, and they need to. What about the Voyager dinosaurs that fled Earth after the asteroid and meet Janeway in the Delta? The Voth? What about them? I wish we could see more Voth, in my opinion. I would definitely enjoy that. But yeah, I don't know. William Schaffner, I want to thank you for doing Babylon 5. I actually like Babylon 5. I'm looking forward to continuing it. The Borg could wipe out the Federation Council and Starfleet headquarters in a single surprise attack. They had a transwarp that goes to Earth. Yeah, they did. That was literally stupid. Very, very stupid. But I don't know. I guess with that, guys, we'll probably end it there. I really appreciate you guys watching. It's been a lot of fun. I'll be trying to do this more, and we should have a video coming out very shortly. But as always, guys, remember, in the end, we're all just stories. So make yours a good one.